could have beers.
I know, seriously.
Good morning, New Mexico. You're not going to believe this. We are sitting in Sanibel Island. And shouts out to a lot of people. First of all, thank you, Bob Walpo. I said to our producer, Bob, Wildcat Bob, hey, Bob, I need you to run a best of today. And he's like, I can do the show. I'm like, you can do the show. He said, you guys call me on the phone. I'll text you the questions. So my wife is taking the questions on her phone. She's here with me. Good morning, darling.
Good morning, dear.
We intended to take beers, but thought better of it, so we have held off our vacation drinking until after the show. We are taping it, so you'll get some great footage when we get back. We are taking your phone calls live from Sanibel Island in Florida. We just finished up the TPIE show. That's the Tropical Plant International Expo, which we found loads of new suppliers. We're going to pick the few best and ways to get it to Albuquerque on a real regular basis. So it was a very productive show. Since we were down here, we thought, well, let's just take the weekend on the beach. So we are now taking in some sun and sand and caught a couple of sharks last night.
Yeah, that was cool.
We didn't bring our phone, so tonight we'll bring our phone and send pictures of that. We got a couple of online questions we'll answer, but we would love to have you feel the 70-degree warm weather versus the 50, though 50 in Albuquerque beats the rest of the country, sounds like to me. The number is 243-3333. Yes, we're taking your calls. Yes, we're live. And yes, we're sitting on a beach in Florida. So give us a call, Rick and Jen from Jericho here in Sanibel, live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We should probably give a shout out to the place we're staying. I'll let Jen do that. We're literally going to give you some pictures and stuff. Having a good time, enjoying the islands and the summer sun. And so my next shout out would be to the crew. Amanda's got the bee seminar nailed down. We got about 15 people showing up to that. We're excited. I've talked to Justin. He's going to do Beekeeping 101, depending on the crowd, guys. If there's a bunch of beekeepers, he'll tailor it to you, but he's really talking about why we should be helping the bees and what we're doing to help the bees and how you can get involved. Rent a beehive, very inexpensive, honestly, $50 a month for 5 months and a gallon of honey. And he tends to the hive once a month. Helps you get involved if you want to. So shout out to Amanda and Gabby and Gary, who's working today, and Jesse. And I am sure that the other Gary, Bob, and Justin are all working there as well. So shout out to them. Hope they got the radio on. They could call us with some questions or text us. So one of the questions we got, again, we're taking calls. Really, we are, 243-3333. Love to hear from you. Put yourself on the radio, and we'll be answering from Sanibel.
Okay, so one of the questions, and I have to look at my phone while I do this,
was bulbs. Can you say paperwhite and
Charlene Spiegel was wondering what to do with your Christmas bulbs, paperwhites, amaryllis, that sort of thing, after Christmas.
So Jen and I have not had great success getting amaryllis to rebloom. One time we threw one outside and surprisingly set in a pot all summer and winter and bloomed the next year. Storing and letting them rejuvenate, putting them in a dormant place and leaving them be for several weeks, if not months, without not doing anything. Putting some phosphate, a high middle number on a fertilizer, of course Blue Max being the one that's got our name on it. Paper whites I planted outside and they got their triggers backwards. So they would bloom at Thanksgiving every year. They are narcissus, which is the daffodil. A daffodil is a narcissus. The paper white is a narcissus. So they will grow outside. Again, storing bulbs in Albuquerque, a little difficult because we don't have root cellars. If you're going to do it, cool place with a little bit of moisture, not too much to rot, but not complete dryness where they would dehydrate. So those two are challenges, but that's how you would do
it. We also have Charlie, and he is looking for what I think would be a kind of quote-unquote green blooming rose. So there are roses that have a tinge of green in the bloom color, St. Patrick's being one of them.
I don't know if that's on our list. I'll have to check. If you're trying to get something from Seed Charlie, don't. If you're going to buy a green one, we can't get it for you. buy something bare root. You can get those from several different people. We buy from Wheats Roses. You can buy that bare root, get it now, and grow it in a container inside. And then in the middle of April to the middle of May, plant it outside. But grow it in a container if you can find one bare root. But don't try seed. First of all, it's not on rootstock that's hardy. Most roses are grafted, and they're grafted so that you have the best of both worlds: a strong root system on a well-producing bush.
I would also chime in and just say, Charlie, check with us in mid-April. We have a huge couple of rose orders coming in, and I can't imagine we won't have St. Patrick's, but there's a chance, but we can also possibly get it on a second order if we don't get it on the first. So I would check with us a little bit later in the season.
Which lends right into, we are doing 2 rose orders this year. We did not cut our rose order by cutting our business in half, meaning we closed one location. We kept every rose we had ordered last year, or the number, 650 roses. First order coming the 1st of April, second order coming the 1st of May. So we'll be the first in town to have roses. We've expanded greenhouse sizes and spaces so we can put them inside. We're not telling you that they can go outside. We're just giving you a selection where you can take that rose home, enjoy it on the porch in a container, and then wait till you're sure the weather's right and the frost is done, and cut the roses off after they're done blooming and plant it outside. So we'll have 2 shipments, both coming in full bloom. They stagger the growing time. So the first one comes in full bloom, but about the time those are growing out of bloom, we'll have another whole rose order coming right behind that.
So we also have a question from Michelle. Michelle is being inundated with Siberian elms, and she is curious on ways to manage those without a ton of poison. She's got some dogs in the yard. I would say, Michelle, that I would encourage you to use something that, even though you might have to keep the dogs in for a little bit, once it's dry on the plant, it would be safe for the dogs to cruise around. But you're going to have a really hard time trying to manage those without something that's a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, as I understood the question, the trunks were big enough to cut and pour something in the trunk. That stuff is poison. It's highly volatile in soil. It's called Brush and Stump Killer by Monterey, or Stump and Vine Killer by Bonide. We use it. We have dogs. We have other plants. We have misused, or I have misused it and killed one of my roses, a pride rose too. Thankfully, I had 2. Though we are having extremely good luck with vinegar on small things. So on the little seedlings coming up, you probably can knock those back with vinegar. It's not the vinegar in your kitchen counter. It has to be a stronger vinegar. We bought 30% last year. We've carried 10 in the past. People were mad they wanted 20. We found 30. We rebought it 30%. We rebought it 3 times. My wife is using a gallon at a time, and we're finding it to be extremely effective on most weeds we've used it on. So there is that. Open 7 days a week, 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday, Sundays 11 to 5. Come in and enjoy, like I said in the commercial, a smile and a honest but pleasant answer. I said just pleasant in the commercial, and Gabby says sometimes you're brutal. Honesty, because it's honest, but it's still pleasant. I think you'd much rather hear us tell you, good luck. We're out here also looking for stuff that is hard to grow in Albuquerque. We found some avocados that are hardy to about 15 degrees. We grow olives in our yard. I'll let Jen speak to that, and I'll let her speak to the avocados we're looking to have this spring.
There's a couple of different growers down here that do carry, they are considered a Mexican variety of avocado. The quantities that are available are kind of limited, so we're going to just see what we can get our hands on. And honestly, if they are small enough, we probably would encourage you to just keep them in containers and bring them inside for a season or 2 until they have a little bit stronger root system on them before you try to put them outside. But there's another grower that we're going to get some things like dragon fruit from probably, we're unsure of the citrus situation because citrus nationwide has issues. So, we may just stick with the people we're getting citrus from now. But anyway, there was some amazing, amazing things available at this particular show. We're going to bring in a whole slew of new things that I think people are going to be pretty shocked to see. So I think that's going to be cool.
It's very exciting. The olives are hardy hardy to about 15 degrees. We've had olives in our yard 4 winters now. They grow in the wintertime. We didn't get many olives this year because we had a cold winter, but we didn't lose much of the plant. We lost more of our fig trees. So what we're looking to do is continue to carry what everybody wants and needs and have to kind of supply that masses, but we're looking to branch out into avocados. We will carry avocados. Jen and I will grow them in our courtyard and let you know how we do with them. We will probably plant them outside just because we can and be able to tell you this is what we did first year. Jen's advice is from the grower Billy, who said, until you get that thing up to size, you might not want to put it in the ground yet. My bananas winning this year, we'll be carrying more, or last year, we'll be carrying more bananas. Olives, I read this morning, New Mexico is the largest pecan producer in the country.
Right.
And we had a record-breaking harvest this year. So pecan trees will have to find a local supplier because it is a multi-million-dollar industry. You cannot ship pecans into New Mexico. They have to be grown in New Mexico because there is a pecan weevil. So they do not want to affect a crop. Department of Agriculture. Huge crop for us, so yahoo for pecan growers.
I would add to that whole pecan situation, I don't necessarily want, the world to be the police, but I would say that if you happen to be in maybe a boxy store type place and you see pecans that are not labeled as grown in New Mexico, I would certainly bring that to somebody's attention because we don't want to harm our local industry by people with not the best practices of bringing things in from other places.
So again, this is where my brutality and bluntness comes in. Jen's being very, very polite. The big box stores don't care, and the Department of Ag has to go do inspections at anybody that has a plastic license. It's their job to come inspect, and they find pecans in places like that all the time that do not belong there. It's illegal to have them. So Jen's nicely saying, look, you see a pecan in a big box store, it probably did not come from New Mexico, which is illegal because it can create havoc with the weevil that is introduced in being a multi-million-dollar biggest pecan producer in the nation. We want to keep that going. It's good for New Mexico. Like green chili. So pecans, green chili, and there's another green chili coming, but we'll wait for that to happen when it happens. 243-3333 is the number. I'm just winging it, but I'm betting break time is about now. I'm talking as Jen's texting on her phone, and we're watching seagulls and pelicans dive the water here at Sanibel Island. We appreciate the phone calls. Lou, thank you very much. Going to get this on our website when we get back. You can submit a question on JerichoNursery.com, I believe.
Yeah, he's got it right on the front page.
Front page, so you can just go there and submit the question. Jen will get it here on the phone, and we will happily answer it. We are looking at what people thought were sharks yesterday, and they were stingrays, little stingrays at the edge of the beach. Last night we caught a couple of fish, and we used them for bait, and we caught a couple of sharks.
Right.
We caught about, 16 or 18-inch shark and a 2-foot shark, so it's great fun. We just got the line, let them go. Kind of fun, not doing any harm to them, not trying to get the hook out of their mouth by taking a pair of pliers to them or taking off our finger. So.
Yeah. And, makes you think twice about getting in the water. South Florida.
Not me.
I'm
in the but it makes a lot of people think twice. And gators, oh my God, we came across gator. What's that called? It's
Alligator Alley.
And I thought they were dead. We probably saw 50 alligators just like on the side of the road. Crazy. So anyway, Jen wants to relocate down here to Florida.
No, I do not. I like the desert.
So we got a bunch of new stuff in yesterday, the day before, sometime this week. We've got a bunch of onions in. We've got some petunias, which will take a frost, though want to caution you. I need to find out where they're grown. It's a great segue into where you get your plants and what the people know about them. Because though a petunia will take a frost, if it's been grown in a warmer climate and shipped here, and that's what I need to find out about ours, it will not take a frost, so you would need to harden them off. We got some marigolds and begonias just because it's 50 degrees today. Everybody's itching to put something in. Well, you don't want to put these in. Maybe you want to put them in containers. We have to figure out how to buy some 5-gallon buckets and grow some stuff for people that you can just have a bucket on your porch of onions or a tomato or some cucumbers. And if it's going to get cold, you just pick up the bucket. We're trying to find the right bucket to make it an easy bucket. I don't want a Homer bucket. I don't want an orange bucket in my store or a blue one. I want a Jericho bucket. Doesn't probably need to be 5 gallons, a 3 to 4 gallon bucket. Anyway, maybe we go to the place where you can buy the wine buckets that you make wine in that are white, and we get stickers and we put Jericho stickers on. So anyway, numbers 243-33-33, 243-33-33. Make it worth our time, guys. We're keeping ourselves from drinking beer and fishing, so we can be on the air live in Albuquerque, New Mexico from Sanibel Island in South Florida. We drove across the island yesterday after we went to the TPIE show and got a load of information, as we talked about, tropical plants, cactus and succulents, some cool stuff. There's a picture online of me standing in front of a palm tree that's got to be 20 foot tall.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of booths with all those kind of fun things. We've got Donna on the line from up by Cuba, New Mexico. Donna, good morning. So if it hasn't come in yet this week, it'll be in hopefully next week. We've got a bunch of soil amendments coming in, like manure, mushroom compost, and topsoil. That can all be added. We also have now peat moss, back to earth compost, and some other amendments. You surely can be adding those to your yard right now. So you could surely, there's a product we carry by Soil Menders called Raised Bed Mix, but if you're looking to make your own, back to earth compost and mushroom compost would be things, and manure would be all things you could be adding right now.
You know, the other thing that you might think about would be some of the other amendments that are in something like the raised bed mix, which we have in smaller quantities that you can add to your soil to just fortify, like things like alfalfa meal and rock phosphate, and things that are trace minerals that you can add to things and really fortify the soil nicely for the summer months.
One of those that has everything in it, Donna, is one called Yum Yum Mix, again made by Soil Menders. Used to be made in New Mexico. They quit making it, and Greg Birkenfield picked it up. So feed the soil, feed the plants is his adage, and most of those things Jen was just talking about are in Yum Yum Mix. You could surely add that as well. I don't know if our load comes in this last week or comes in next week. We are waiting for a huge load to come in. We got a potting shed. You should look on Instagram and find my mug. We are planning on shaking things up this year and doing some things differently. Potting shed around potting benches, where we will help you plant your plant into your pot, our pot. We will help you transplant. We're trying to take the service up even to the next level. We bought a bunch of lichen. We bought a bunch of moss. We've got pots that we're doing. So really looking forward to upping the service level in a potting shed, making where our new greenhouse more tropical. They got the big staghorn moved in. That's got a great history and story to it as well. So go check out the greenhouse. Everybody that walks in there goes, man, I didn't realize how warm this place would be. So where we have our new registers, the American flag out front, handicap parking, come check it out. As I said, with the madness going on, maybe you just want to decompress and come in and take a break. Walk through a tropical greenhouse. Walk through greenhouses that got color in them. It'll just take your mind off things a little bit.
So also next week, probably by the end of the week, we'll probably have a small handful of some perennials, maybe in color, that have been grown in the cooler areas of Arizona. So I would take a look. I'd be on the lookout for that too, because I think not a lot of things, but there will be some, I think, and probably a new load of small cactus and succulents also.
Those are coming for sure. He's coming in his truck. We'll probably make it out to our local supplier, Trees and Corrales, with 50-degree days. They might have some stuff ready too. So we are ready. We are more ready than you would think to come in and walk around and take your mind off life for an afternoon, a half hour, whatever.
And we're also, that time of year where we've got some new things coming in. I mean, just random new things coming in. So, if curiosity is killing you on a nice day and you want to wander around somewhere to just see what kind of new stuff might be out there. And the other thing I would throw out there is probably for some folks, I think we might even think about this, is we'll be having things like tomato tower, or what are those?
Walla
Waters.
We already have them.
Yeah, so I mean, getting things ready for jumping the gun on the season a little bit, never a bad idea when you can do it protected.
Yeah, so talk about a wall of water and what that is, what it does.
So the wall of water is basically like a little hothouse in all reality, but because of the water in the chambers, the energy of the water in the chambers actually helps keep the soil warm, so that the plant, even if the top of the plant were to peek through the top of that wall of water and get a little bit of cold on the top, the roots are warm, so you can get a head start on your tomatoes. And honestly, we've done it in February before.
Yeah, middle of 2 months early.
So
you can go up to 2 months early. So if you're ready, we've got wall of waters. I don't think we've got tomatoes, but it won't be long. When we've got marigolds, begonias, and petunias, tomatoes are right around the corner. So
I can find a way.
We're excited about it. I'm sure that Reams has tomatoes already too, because they grow their own. They grow gallon tomatoes. So it's not too early to start considering what to do. And also, what are we, the third week of January? About 3 weeks away from direct sowing cool season. Middle of February is lettuce, peas, broccoli, cauliflower,
Right.
Carrots. Onions can go in now. Anything you're wanting to get a head start on, spinach, put in the flats now. You could start your container stuff inside now, and 3 weeks to a month from now, depending on the weather, it'll go outside. What most people don't recognize or realize is that cool season gardening in Albuquerque is short and it starts early and starts late. You can't grow lettuce in May, June, July in Albuquerque. We've done it. It's tough, but from the middle of February to the middle of May, and starting in the middle of August till probably Thanksgiving. So there are cool season stuff that can be started right now. If you're going to grow a big tomato from seed, we've got an excellent selection from Sandia Seed Company of some heirloom tomatoes. This gal we're carrying about 30 different types of chili you can't find anywhere else. If you want to grow some, help me, what's the pronunciation? Bucola? The hot chili?
Yeah. Well, we have the
Trinidad.
Trinidad scorpions. There's all kinds of stuff.
The one that's got the highest Scovia rating, which is ghost peppers.
Ghost peppers. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. There's some really interesting colored peppers too. I mean, they're still hot, but I think that vegetables add just as much beauty. I believe that if people started pulling out some of their lawns and filling it in with edible gardens, it would be beautiful.
You see a lot of social media talking about
I
that.
just think it's a great deal.
It is a really cool deal, and there is nothing like having Swiss chard. Swiss chard would go in now probably.
Yeah.
And go till Thanksgiving, and you plant a mix of Swiss chard and have 4 or 5 different colored veins through a green. Beautiful.
I just cut back the Swiss chard that we had and fed it to the chickens. That's the other thing, is if you have things that you don't want to take care of during, the summer months, say like greens that you don't really want to spend a ton of time taking care of, or if it's quasi weird to just spend the time taking care of it during the winter, if you happen to have chickens or friends who have chickens, there is nothing like fresh greens for your chickens.
Yep. And so leaf lettuces, we grow a mescaline mix, a few different mixes. Putting those in a flat or 2 or 3 gallon bucket, really easy to do. I believe it's Steve calling from the Northeast. Steve, good morning. The lichen and moss that grows on the rock, no, probably not. It's probably the chlorine or the water you use in in the water feature because that'll kill lichens and mosses. So what I would tell you is I also have, I'm going to let this play and pass. I also have a water feature, and what I'm starting to do with mine, Scott, excuse me, Steve, is harvesting, don't get caught, harvesting local stuff.
By the way.
In the Pecos, in the Jemez. I've got moss growing. Now, the moss needs shade. So if you're going to grow some moss, I'm growing water plants, again, that I'm harvesting locally because in areas that are colder than Albuquerque. So I just pulled some stuff out of the Jemez a couple of weeks ago. I've got moss growing. The moss, again, needs the shade and moisture. But I think that may be your best route of success because it's local. If you want to throw some moss and lichen down just for aesthetic purposes, fine. It's not going to grow here. Yeah, so maybe you create areas up under some shrubs where you clear out some areas. That's what I've done is I've cleared out some areas that are in the sun, but I've grown some plants or put a rock ledge over something where I know that the moss could grow up underneath it.
Yeah, you know what, Steve, that you could try to do? There's a plant called Parnii cotoneaster, and it's a very, very drought-tolerant plant, although obviously if it gets a little extra water, it's going to be happy. But it's a broadleaf evergreen, so it's not going to be a total mess for your pond. And if you were to put it in a couple of areas around the very edge and just let it get nice and big, it would be something that would easily cover some areas to allow for enough shade for moss to grow back. Parnii cotoneaster, or a lot of people call it cotton Easter. Well, our folks will know what you're talking about either way, but it's Parnii is the variety, and that would be a great addition to any kind of a pond situation because it's a vase-shaped plant. It gets nice and wide. It doesn't get terribly tall. You can trim the top whenever you want. It's very malleable.
The other thing to do is walk through your greenhouses and look at ground covers. This isn't going to work for you, but we put a Ajuga indica in the shady part. This Ajuga is gorgeous. Now, again, shade, but there are a number of ground covers, sedums, lots of different sedums. So it'd give you kind of a mossy look, at least a green look instead of dirt. There's several different sedums. There's a pine needle sedum that's slimy green. There's a dragon's blood that's got red leaves. There's lots of different ice plants. So instead of trying to grow moss, it's going to be difficult. If you're in full sun, you've got a bunch of ground covers that would at least give you a mossy look. All right. I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it, Steve.
So I have Lonnie in the East Mountains. Bob was just texting me, Lonnie in the East Mountains. Is he on the air?
Oh, you are on the air. Cool. No, and the reason for all the pruning saws we have, I have, I believe, a Corona pruning saw. We've got Bond. Felco's bucks. It's the most money you're going to spend. A pair of Felco pruners is $75, $85. A pruning saw cuts on the pull instead of the push. So when you're pulling on it, it cuts instead of on the push, which makes it a whole lot better when you're cutting on a tree or on a ladder where you're not pushing to cut, you're pulling. And we've got 3 or 4 different ones. I've got 2 little handheld ones and a couple of bow saws that would work as a pruning saw as well. Appreciate the call. And yes, you want a pruning saw. You don't want your handsaw. All right, Lonnie, thank you very much.
So Gabby is saying, can we talk about mead?
Can we talk about mead? Really?
Yes.
What is mead, they want to know. Mead is honey wine. You make mead out of yeast, honey, water, raisins. I have made it 2 years in a row. My recipe is 1 part honey, 3 parts water, thereabouts. I use the whole package of yeast because it's $1 and you don't need it all. And raisins feed the yeast. And water, I use bottled water. It sets for 3 to 6 weeks. I use champagne yeast so I can get carbonation, and then you bottle it. We find it amazing and really, really easy. I'm sure Justin this afternoon has become the mead aficionado, growing all different kinds of mead, infusing it with different things.
I was going to say, he's not growing all kinds of mead.
He is growing it. He's growing blueberries and anyway, he's infusing it.
Yeah.
He's doing all kinds of fun stuff. So show up this afternoon and milk Justin for some information. He is a beekeeper, and I told him about mead last year, and he's like, what? Now he's got all different types of meat. He might even bring a bottle to the seminar this afternoon.
I just want to mention that tide is coming in, and that's the best time to fish. So I hate to tell y'all, but
we got land sharks in the fridge. We got koozies. We got limes. We're gonna catch some sharks and take some pictures. We'll put them on our website. If you haven't seen the website, check out the orchids. We're gonna carry a whole new line of orchids, not just Phalaenopsis, the orchid everybody carries, but some lady slippers and some dendrobiums, all kinds of cool. We are finding ways to get that stuff to us on a more regular basis, and that's why we're down here. And it was well worth the time coming down, because we found ways to get us product to you guys. Watching these boats out here. Anyway, as you can tell, we're starting to ramble because we're getting the itch to get our fish on. And 30 to music, Bob? 30 to be out. I didn't hear the music. We're gonna wrap it up quickly. Bob, again, thank you very much. To all the listening audience and our customers, we appreciate you all very much. Until 2 weeks from today, Rick and Jen from Jericho, we're out. Thanks.